If you are not speaking, please try to mute yourself. All right, Mike.
Yeah, Robert Campbell emailed. He's not going to be in today, but we have Gina Torres. She's the vice chair. So Gina, it's your meeting. Take off.
Oh my goodness. I'm glad I'm on here, and thanks for the warning. Well, cool. Thank you, everyone, for attending. And it's always fascinating. And I never get a chance to see and be in a meeting with law enforcement and crossing guards and all. I mean, it's just really a great group. So I'm happy I could join today. So why don't we just jump right in and start with our updates. So we're looking for any input on the bicycle, pedestrian, and motorcycle safety updates. Do we have any from? And just unmute yourself. If you, I don't know if there's raised hand here, but you can just jump in if you have any. I will just let you know that we're shifting our duties around here a little bit. So Lisa Silva has gone to the state Bike Ped Safety Coalition meetings and Motorcycle Coalition. So I didn't get anything specifically from her out of those because she's really just trying to figure out how that operates and how that works. But I don't have any updates there. If anyone went to those meetings, and I've always been curious how, if the city and maybe the TPD officer that's on could tell me if the motorcycle training that had kind of kicked off and then COVID happened, if that is still something. I'm really interested in that. I thought it was a good program. Okay, well, I guess we'll just move on to the next topic. If anyone wants to jump in, you know, if you think of something about bicycle, pedestrian, and motorcycle safety, please feel free to speak. Okay, so any education updates that we can share?
I have some. This is Janine with MAD. I haven't been on for a few meetings, so I was glad to be able to make it today. I do the prevention, education, and outreach, so I'm continuing to do that in the community. We're out in person in schools, specifically driver's ed and education tabling events that I get to go out and do our impaired driving, underage drinking, drug use, prevention, education. Continuing to be with the court system with juvenile diversion program, though we are still virtual with them. I'm not sure how much longer we'll be virtual, but we that's been actually pretty successful virtually. And just wanted to let people know about coming up in April. We are with the Teen Safe Driving Coalition through the state of Florida, and so we've been working with them for the weeks of awareness, where we have big speakers come in and talk with the schools. So we have a few schools in Hillsborough County that will be participating in that. So we're looking forward to that. I think it's the first full week of April. So it's coming up in a couple weeks. So we'll have those speakers coming out as well. So we're excited about that. And then just because I'm talking already, I'm going to remind people that we have our Walk Like Mad at USF this Friday evening. Very happy to be back in person. We haven't had it in 2 years. So we're looking forward to seeing a lot of you there. I know a lot of you participate with that. So very happy to be able to see your faces soon. So that's my update. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It sounds great. Do we have anyone else that wants to share about education on safety topics, traffic safety?
Hey, Gene, it's Brenton.
Hey, Brenton.
I just wanted to add that we just wrapped up a geofence campaign around the Big Bend work zone area. So we were advising people of the speeding fines that are, doubled when you're speeding in a work zone, et cetera. So we did a geofence around that work zone to alert motorists to slow down and drive more cautiously in the work zone.
Brenton, I'm so interested in that topic. And if you don't mind just allowing me to ask a couple questions. I remember when Peter Shue was telling us about doing that on the Courtney Campbell. And so it is pretty much all phone-based, I think, right? And then he also had like dynamic message boards out. I found that to be a really interesting way of like alerting motorists that, you'll get a $300 ticket if you're speeding, or, some message like that. Are those the types of things that you were telling people? I want to apply this to a high injury network, for instance, and see if I could do these kinds of geofencing messages to people like, did you know you just drove down a road that had 40 fatalities this year, or something like that? So could that kind of thing work and apply to Vision Zero corridors?
It could. I mean, basically, it's just whenever people drive through an area, later on their phone, they'll get either, you could get sort of a Facebook ad or a Twitter ad, or you could get browser-based ads or app-based ads, depending on what apps you have on your phone. You have to have the motorist has to have location services turned on their phone and have to have a phone with apps. But yeah, we just have little banners and stuff that pop up that say like, slow down on work zone, speeding fine, $300. And we also, we directed them to a survey where we can, give them more, get their feedback, and also ask them questions like, did you know that work zones are now hands-free, and stuff like that.
How expensive was that? And it sounds like I would have a little bit too much power to put out messages that maybe should be vetted, like I would want to write different things. So how did you get the permissions for what you?
Well, we work with FDOT on the safety messaging, and again, like you said, FDOT also puts out the variable message boards, and there's often an enforcement component that goes along with that, and it really depends on the length of the road you want to geofence and the average daily traffic counts, how many they anticipate reaching. It can be several $1,000s.
For how long of a time?
For about a month is usually what we do.
Thanks for listening to me, everyone else that's listening, because I find this to be really fascinating and a really effective way to reach people. It's hard to do it when you're got a Facebook page, and expecting people to read that. This is way better. I really like this, and I think it's a great technique. So thank you. I'm hoping to work with, was it Peter as your point of contact? I've been talking to him a little bit about this.
Mike Zinn is the program manager that manages the geofencing.
Great, Mike. We'll talk later offline. That sounds great. Any other education?
No, Brett was doing a good job. I was just going to let him run with it.
I love this idea. I think it's worth the funding. So I'll have to see if our monies can be allocated.
We just had a discussion about it earlier today. And since the Courtney Campbell, I think Brent and I figured out we've done 11 of them off the top of our heads since then, up to ones we are still currently running.
Oh, Mike, is there before and after yet? Like, was it effective?
On some of them I've done before and afters. It depends how much money I want to put into it, of course, but some of them I'm just trying to get some basic information out there in a hurry to calm the traffic down so I don't go to a lot of research details on it.
Okay.
Only because we know it's been effective, so we don't need to waste a lot of time on every single one of them.
Well, it'll help me justify getting more of them, but I love this. So yeah. I'll talk to you.
Just to give you an example, the Courtney Campbell, I've got blue toads sitting out there all the time, so I check the speed periodically, even at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which used to be one of our highest speeding times during the day. Yesterday at 3 o'clock, nobody was doing the speed limit, both directions. They were all staying at 55 and 58 miles an hour. So.
Oh, wow, that's great.
But that's because it took several campaigns to get it to everybody to conform to the speeds.
Well, if we did it on roads that were the worst, I think or a road. Okay, cool. That's exciting.
Yeah, we can do a side note on this later.
Thanks. Any other education updates? Okay, let's move to enforcement and crash statistics. Maybe Janine or whoever would like to report on anything there. And I have a comment at the end of this one, as you expect. Any law enforcement updates?
Hey, Gina, it's George Edmiston. I could just give you an update that we just wrapped up roadway safety audit training for law enforcement officers, a 2-hour session last week. Craig and I visited all the agencies within our district, including Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, Tampa PD, which include their whole traffic unit, DUI squad, and traffic homicide. And some of the smaller agencies as well, including Temple Terrace, FHP. So we had a large participation in that. So we've got more law enforcement folks, eyes on the ground, that are basically the eyes and ears for DOT. If they see something wrong with a roadway, they can report it. They have clear lines of communication. So we're moving forward in a different way to become more proactive in reducing a lot of those repeat fatal locations for crashes.
That's good news. That sounds great. Anyone else want to jump in? I do have a couple things I could fit under Vision Zero, but I just wanted to mention that the potential for another surtax is being discussed through the Board of County Commissioners. And last time in 2018, there was like 27% of what we were going to collect would have gone to safety improvements. And using calculations and figuring out what kind of benefits we'd get, like building complete streets or whatever those things were going to be spent on, we anticipated that we would have had a reduction of almost 70 lives saved a year. It was, modest, but definitely fantastic. So we're trying to encourage the Board of County Commissioners to again set aside a percentage or a certain amount that would go into safety. So we've been writing letters, or we wrote a letter to ask the board to consider that. I just wanted to say that one of the things that we were trying to, impress on them is that 2021 was the worst year on record in Hillsborough County. We had 257 lives lost, which was way above, the average. And already I looked at the data between January 1st and the end of February, which is not really a lot of data points, but in 2021, which was the worst year, there were 3 bicycle deaths. This year, in that same amount of time, there were 5. In 2021, for those 2 months, there was 8 pedestrian, I said bicycle first, right? 3 and 5. Pedestrians were 8 and then 11. Motorcycle deaths were 6 and now there's 8. So it basically, it's not looking, a lot better. And I think that we just need to be able to redesign our roads, do better education and all that. It's just a real problem. So I was looking at crash stats and I wanted to share that. And one other thing, I'm sorry, there was another thing that we supported at our board were the the speed cameras around schools. There's legislation out there, and we did, send a letter of support. And I talked to a couple of different law enforcement officers who seem to feel like this is not a bad idea. It's very political, but it allows the officers to do other enforcement and doesn't, profile a person if that was the concern for the community. So anyway, we'll see what happens with that. I know in other cities it was successful and it got implemented then later on their high injury network. So it wasn't just around schools, it became, a tool for other places. I'm not necessarily asking for, we can have a discussion here. I just didn't know if this sparked any thoughts from the group. Okay, well, we can move on to engineering. Do we have county and cities representatives, maybe even DOT, can tell us, wow, what's this?
That's our new map that we're going to start including in all the meetings. It shows you all the crash locations.
Oh, awesome.
These are crashes as of, it's a little bit old right now. It only shows you up to 228. It was created on the 14th, but we're going to start putting these on all the CTSTs, and you guys are the first to view this to see how it looks and what you think about it. It's to kind of support what you were just saying about the crash statistics, Gina. And just to give you an example, actually, one of the systems says you guys had 272 last year. That's confirmed, but 48 so far this year on your total crashes. That's through CDMS. That's not Signal 4. This is Signal 4 you're looking at here.
Okay. Oh, it's very heartbreaking.
So that's what your map looks like and where the locations have been up through the first couple of months of the year.
And is that something that will be posted on our CTST site? Because I think that's, I mean, I pull up maps like this, but it looks a lot better than the ones I use. I just like rudimentary ones. So this is really.
Yes, I can include these on our CTST websites. I'll actually have them on each one of the CTST teams so that they're each county, you pull up whatever when you go to CTSTs.
Great resource. Thank you.
Very good. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to finish up your crash test.
No, I want you to interrupt me. I don't want to be the only one talking. Okay, so we're on to engineering. Do we have it? Yeah, we have people from, we have Kelly. Kelly, I'm just going to pick on you because you're new at the city of Tampa, but you're also able to give us an update.
Yeah, sure. This kind of applies to a couple of these update kind of sections, but we just unveiled our Vision Zero action plan. Last week we had a really great turnout. We got the mayor and some of the council members to sign a pledge for Vision Zero, so we're really excited about that. Gina, to your point, we've seen the same thing, and unfortunately in the data that we've been looking at, normally, I don't want to say normally, but in a typical year we've had 3 bicyclist fatalities, and we've already had that for this year, and we're only kind of in the early part of the year, so we're keeping an eye on that and taking a closer look at our high injury network and updating it based on the most recent year's data.
Thanks. And I know, I don't speak for you guys, but there's almost too many things going on as far as like some of the work that Cal Hardy's doing and the different road redesigns, like Columbus, for instance. If you guys have an opportunity to drive by Columbus or on it from Nebraska to 15th or 14th, that's a complete street to me. And it doesn't even include bike lanes, which is fine. If the motorists are moving slow enough, you can share the lane or you can use the wide sidewalk. So I don't know, I was just really impressed with some of the things that have been already implemented at the city.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we're really excited about Columbus. It looks great. Everyone did such a good job on that project. We've got new crosswalks, RFB locations. So yeah, like Gina said, if you haven't had a chance to drive it, it looks really great. We're also working on a quick build for 14th Street, Avenida República de Cuba. So we've got a survey out. We're trying to get some feedback from the community. It's on our high injury network, and we just want to see what kind of quick build techniques that we can implement there. So please pass it on. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was.
That sounds great. And so if you're going to be attending these, we'd love to hear those like updates on, some specific things that have been done. It's really fun to hear because I discovered some of these just by accident. So it's really cool. I don't like using that word, I guess.
Yeah.
But I come upon them. Okay, anybody from the county want to share some of the engineering updates?
Hi, Gina. This is Anna Grundman. I'm representing Abigail Flores. She can make it today. I have a couple of updates. We just started our methodology for a systemic approach for our programs on lane departure safety and unsignalized intersection safety. We also started our speed management and speed zoning study. All of those are going on right now. For the safe routes to school, we completed the tier 1 construction for the first 3 schools, Little Pierce and Alexander. We are finalizing the tier 1 design for the following 2 schools, that's King and Robles. And we only have 1 project advisory committee remaining in our project development, and we're going through all the community engagement for the 6 schools. And we had great feedback from the last community engagement. We had 70 comments from the community and about 200 survey responses. So that was really good.
Great. Are you done with your update? I have a question.
Sorry. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I just, you're prompting something I was talking to Mike Michael about, or at least we emailed about it, that this committee is, I love hearing these updates, and sometimes something will spark an interest, like, well, everything you said sounded great, but the speed management and speed zone study, and depending on how much I talk or not talk, maybe these meetings will have enough time to hear a little bit more. Like we could do, we've done these before, we have a presentation that dives in a little bit more, and maybe early on in the study, so that if our law enforcement or our hospital or our MAD representatives, these are people I never really get to talk to that much. I'm always dealing with, well, the public and public works departments, but I don't get like this kind of group together in front of me. So if there's studies that are kicking off and we'd like to hear what law enforcement might want to suggest, because sometimes, well, they definitely have a different view and a good view of some of the things we're working on, and I'd love to hear more. So I'm considering asking Mike if we can get some presentations occasionally. So if you guys hear during these updates of all of these topic areas, something that really interests you, let Michael know and we can see if we can get a presentation on that. Okay, so any other engineering, like from Plant City or DOT or Temple Terrace? I know the DOT is busy, but maybe there's, you know, no one was prepared to report on that.
Well, we have probably just in Hillsborough County alone. I mean, you go to our website and pull up current projects, and even the design projects or completed projects. Current construction projects, you probably have close to 25, 30 of them throughout the county. And if you go to design, you can probably see just as many, if not more, a whole lot more in design area. That's projects that'll be either starting construction soon or will be within the next few years. So
okay,
it's
so
a lot to discuss, but there's a lot of them on the website. That's why we changed this website to make it more friendly to everybody here, so we can zip right into that and go into any specific project that you're interested in.
Okay, sorry to interrupt you, but I was wondering if that page will also show like there were hundreds of intersections and some mid-block crossings that you all were considering. I heard it in a presentation from Peter, I guess, and I just want to know if I could go on that site and find that where those are.
On the map. Yeah, I'm still turning on the map. You can hover over any particular section that's highlighted in the map, and then you could go to the project web page.
Okay, great.
And the project web page will give you an idea what's going on there.
If you get a chance, could you post that link in this chat? Because I want to make sure I have it as a favorite.
Sure, no problem.
We'll move on then, I guess, to school transportation items. I think we have someone here, and I know that Matthew Pleasant is on paternity leave, so he's going to be out for a little bit. Is there any updates?
I don't have any at this time, Gina.
Did someone want to provide an update on school transportation items? I have one thing, but I'm sure you're getting tired of hearing my voice. Is there anything to share?
Gina, this is Shirley Reddy from the Hillsborough County School District. I don't have any at this time.
Okay. Well, thank you for at least chiming in. I just want to let you know that the TPO is working. We just kicked off a study. I think it was maybe officially last week. Lisa Silva is the project manager. And we're working with the city to identify some of the schools that have the highest crash concerns around them. And it's a twofold study that will look at roadway improvements, but also form a kind of an encouragement group with, well, sidewalk stompers, but with the PTAs around that school and the parents to try to get them to encourage more walking and biking to school, and maybe forming, you know, walking school buses or whatever that encouragement might be. So we have a survey that will be going out to the schools and, you know, to the parents. So there should be some good updates coming on that.
Can I get a copy of that when you get it done? Can I get a copy of that?
That was a little muffled. Did someone just ask me what was I talking about?
I'm sorry. This is Shirley, Gina. Can I get a copy of that?
I'm having hard.
Gina, she's asking
Yeah.
if you can get a copy of it.
Oh, yes, I'm so sorry. It was, I don't know if you guys couldn't hear that either, but I couldn't. I can, yes, absolutely. Can you are you able to put in the chat your email? And I'll send you the scope. And I have, a couple slides even on what that study is going to be about. So,
Okay, I will. I'll do that.
oh, perfect. Thank you. Okay, I guess we're on to the Highway Safety Improvement Program updates. Did I get the HSIP correct?
HSIP, yes. Good morning. This is Mashi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I had problems with my audio earlier. Anyway, so we're working with, I am working with Bill Reha and Peter Shu on implementing LPRs on local roads. We achieved our goal of 500, as you know, by end of last year on state roads. And again, thank you to City of Tampa. And they helped us a lot in implementing those locations. We're working with cities and counties on locations where equipments are not compatible. And FDOT is working on grants to enhance the MMU's controllers cabinets in order to be able to make the intersections safer for right turns. And we also, our new challenge now is working on the top 500 intersections with severe left turn crashes on 6+ lane roads, and working with cities and counties again to see what they have seen on the street. We're working on intersection by intersection to see how we can improve the safety. And so those are those projects. We're always available. I'm always available to help with the HSIP projects or Safe Routes to School projects. So that's my report. But I was gonna also ask Michael, is there any way, I know you showed us the capabilities of the new website and all the good things that are in there. Is there any way we can have it again as a presentation in a future meeting? Mike?
Yeah, there's no problem with that. It keeps growing. We keep adding to it. So, I mean, I did post the link in the chat box. So just when anybody has time, they need to go in there and just poke around. Like I was just mentioning the active projects. When you open the link, you come down to the FDOT active projects under engineering. It's a drop-down menu. And then you can pick out all the different things there, including the HSIP program, where you'll see what Mashi was just talking about. And that's all under the engineering part of the website.
Yeah, I recently went to the website and I saw more than I thought was there, so it was great. Thank you.
Yep, it keeps growing. I mean, Melissa's pulling it up right now, so.
I was going to say the same thing, Rashid, because I do have that marked and I've gone to it many times. It's just so much more in there when you hit, because we can find our page under education, I think, and I don't go to the other ones yeah. So that's great. I do have it.
There's a lot of good information.
Yeah, it keeps growing, and like you guys just mentioned, we just introduced the map at this meeting, but all the counties will have the same map basically for their counties, their CTSTs, and we'll put it under the CTST page.
Cool. I'm going to guess that the next thing is, okay, Vision Zero. I think Kelly's already kind of highlighted that the City of Tampa's Vision Zero action plan kicked off. I'm so happy about that because the TPO's action plan really doesn't have as much teeth to it. We don't implement things. We can't really tell somebody or an agency what to implement, but the city can. They can have their stormwater department make sure that they're, adding treatments that make it safer for everyone using the roads while they're doing some other project, for instance, or even I don't know, every department has a role that can be played. So it's really exciting that they have their own plan now. A couple other studies that we're doing, we just kicked off a Plant City Trail feasibility connection or bypass. I think it's Plant City Canal trail feasibility study. I mentioned Lisa's study on safety, and then we're working with Abigail in the county on doing a bicycle assessment of countywide bicycle facility assessment, and then identifying a handful of quarters that will make some recommendations about kinds of treatments that should or maybe could fit there. And that, we'll provide updates as time goes on. Both of these projects will be finished by the end of July. So I don't have any other Vision Zero updates that I can think of. So is there anyone who maybe jumped in later on, joined the meeting later, that wanted to share anything? I didn't want to move on or end the meeting if you had something that you wanted to share with the group. But we can go over Cal.
Gina?
Hi, this is Karen Morgan with AAA. You mentioned the speeding in school zones legislation, and since the Florida legislative session has ended, I can provide just a quick update on the bills that unfortunately didn't pass this year, if you want.
I would love that.
Okay. And I'll be at the statewide teen coalition providing an update later this month, actually next week. But this year there were 5 main traffic safety bills that AAA was tracking and supporting, and they all unfortunately failed to advance. So the first one was the efforts to repeal the red light camera program. We see this every year. We oppose this legislation every year and ask them to, if anything, strengthen the law to provide more of the funding go to traffic safety versus general revenue.
Well, that sounds like a positive to me. I don't understand that. So the law was to repeal it.
Yes. So there's, some people have strong feelings, as we know, with red light cameras. And so there is always an effort since that bill was passed, or that law was passed, to repeal that law.
But it failed.
Yeah, it failed.
Okay.
So that's good.
Okay.
The speeding in school zones did pass through all the Senate committees, but it failed to get a hearing in the House. Hopefully we'll see this next year brought back. The other bill that failed to advance, but we're seeing this in other states and supporting it, is allowing the side stop signal arm enforcement systems on school buses to ticket those who are passing school buses while they're stopped.
Don't we have that already?
No.
Okay, that's crazy.
No, and honestly, in some of the other states where there was kind of opposition to this, we suggested to legislators that they go take a ride with a school bus driver and just see what they're encountering on the roadway. And we've had a lot of success in them coming back and saying that they really didn't realize how frequently people aren't paying attention to school buses when they're stopped and letting kids on and off.
Not to interrupt, but Gina, the only time a person can get a ticket for running a school bus stop arm is if the police officer is there and witnesses it.
Wow. Incredible.
Yes. So
okay, one more or two more?
Lots of opportunities in Florida to improve our traffic safety laws. There was also a bill to increase penalties related to reckless driving. So in other states, this has been called a super speeder bill. So if you're going over 40 miles an hour, which seems, not fathomable to me, but you would have additional penalties tacked on. Now that failed to advance. It did get a hearing in the Senate, but it did not move in the House. And then the final bill, which is one that Palm Beach County, their toxicologist actually came to me, and we worked together with the sponsors in South Florida to get filed was legislation related to impaired driving that would have expanded the definition of what impaired driving is under Florida law. You know, as we know, you can be impaired by a multiple of things, including over-the-counter medicine, drugs that you're prescribed to. If you're driving impaired, you're impaired. So this would help simplify that statute, which doesn't have a lot of teeth, and help prosecution get these drivers off the road and get them the help they need, or at least the education they need to realize you shouldn't be driving on these substances. So that bill didn't move at all either, but we're gonna spend some time in the off season and try to identify some legislators that will be friendlier on traffic safety items and really try to work with them issues. Florida is just really stands out. We have very weak laws related to teen driving, even child passenger safety, impaired driving. There's just a lot of improvements that can be made. So if anyone ever has a contact and you don't feel comfortable reaching out, I'm always happy to, you can always send them my way, and I'm always happy to reach out and make that contact, that connection, and start that conversation with them about improving some of these issues in Florida legislatively.
Thank you. You're a great resource, and that was a great summary. Sort of, you know, the news wasn't great, but I loved hearing, and I loved your optimism that this is just gives us an opportunity to continue to move forward. Try again.
Yes.
Maybe we should always have this topic, remind ourselves, and about this time of year to have an update on legislative issues. So we're up to calendar updates. Michael, I know that there's a joint meeting coming out with Pasco. Is that, you want to announce that?
Real quick, like though, before we jump into that, I got a question for Michelle Snow. Is she still online?
Yes, sir, I am.
Michelle, can you give us an update what's going on with the new Signal 4?
Sure. In terms of just added features?
Yeah, your added features. You and I had a discussion last month that there were some new things that were coming in and getting some things corrected and fine tuned.
Sure. So we did add, give me just a second, I'm sorry. We added the network analysis piece to it. So that's going to be similar to the old Silverlight version where you can select segment and intersection. And that will be for behind the login screen. I feel like I should turn on my camera. I apologize. So that's going to be behind. Do you want me to share my screen or just sort of verbally?
I don't mind seeing it. I use Signal 4 all the time, and I love it. I have a question of something I had a hard time doing. Again, we can do this offline, but go ahead.
Okay. Do you need to give me permission to share, or can I share?
Yes, I am getting that to you right now.
Okay.
Make presenter.
It's amazing how much COVID has taught us with these electronic video meetings.
Okay, you should have access now, Michelle.
It's still, okay, so behind the login screen, what we've added, and soon we will be having a webinar. I'm looking at the second week of April. I have not scheduled that yet, but we will be having another webinar soon. And so when you go to the,
I don't know if you can.
I am full screen here on my end.
Okay, it's fine. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's okay. So you can see where the network analysis is going to be similar to what we had in the Silverlight version. And this, I'll try to do this as briefly as possible, where you can select top 5 to top 25, either intersection or segments. We have data in this network analysis up to 2020. In terms of geographic location, it's going to be the same city, county, district, MPO. And then you can rank it by a number of different items. So crash count, crash severity, fatal crash, fatal incapacitating, bike and pet. And then you can select roadway classification. So I'll go through this a little bit more in depth during the next webinar, but that's going to be our latest feature. And then we did add, because we've had some issues with folks knowing exactly when data was updated. So sometimes through our nightly ETL process, depending on having to add data to our tables, it takes longer than other times, especially over a long weekend or something like this. But so now we've added the time. So if you go in there and it's 7 something and you don't see that it's been updated yet, that data is still reflecting the previous day. So we did add the date and time. And in future iterations, I'm going to stop sharing if I can. In future iterations, we're going to have citations. We're going to have a sort of standard report that should be coming out soon, sort of a high level for more of the 60,000 view perspectives of like a traffic crash report. So we're working on beta testing that now, and that should be something that you can receive via email or directly on the dashboard itself if you do not have a Signal 4 login. So those are the sort of up and coming items that we have going on. So citation dashboard, the sort of high level traffic safety report overall statewide, and then this network analysis that is currently in production.
Exciting.
I'm not sure if that answered the questions, but
I'll have to check it out. I'll ask you another time about, it was my own user, I wasn't making an error, but I was selecting a corridor and it would like, I wanted 275 from one piece of it to another, and it selected like the whole thing in my county. And I had to like, I was just erasing, you know, the line until I got to the section I wanted. I'm sure there's an easier way to do that. So we can do that another time.
There's always more than one way to skin a cat, apparently. So definitely, I'll show you how to do that.
Okay.
And as always, if there's user feedback, because this definitely operates different than the first version of Signal 4 Analytics, and we're, you know, there's obviously we have different user bases, engineers to city planners to researchers to law enforcement, everybody with a different skill set in between, folks that know how to get the data out via geodatabase into GIS. There's all kinds of skill sets in between, and we've had many discussions on how to sort of curtail the application for different users. From law enforcement, because we do realize some of the things like joining tables and that kind of thing can be difficult, and then to more GIS related type features, either mile markers or, you know, some more of a roadway location information, or even being able to add shape files in here. So we've had lots of discussions. Of any individual user here at this meeting has feedback, please feel free to send it our way.
Because you're the health analyst, you can show communities of concern layer. Okay, anyway. Okay, I think we're back now to the calendar updates. And Mike, you were going to share our next meeting.
Sure. The month of April the whole month is Alcohol Awareness Month. It's National Distracted Driving Month. The 4th through the 8th is the Teen Drivers Coalition Hang Up and Drive Tour, which is several schools have lined up here in our county. The National Distracted Highway Visibility Enforcement Campaign is from the 4th through the 11th. Our National 911 Public Safety Telecommunications Week is the 10th through the 16th. The 20th is a drug impaired driving campaign. The big important one for a lot of us is the 26th through the 30th is a National Work Zone of Safety Awareness Week. And like George was saying, we've stepped up here at DOT, we've stepped up doing RSAs on all the work zones. We're trying to get 2 a month, but it's kind of hard to get 2, but we are definitely getting 1 for sure every month here in our District 7. Most of them are here in the Bay Area. And that's what I have for your April campaigns.
So I apologize for not knowing our website back and forth, but are those on our page as well?
They're kind of in the newsletters. You go to the newsletters, and the back page of the current newsletter will show you all the different campaigns for the whole 6 months, with exceptions of ones that pop out now and then differently. But there's other ones I mentioned that are in that calendar of events on the back page, like some of the ITPM courses for the police agencies and stuff like that, which is also listed in the website for them to log into and get their courses that they need. Since we have a lot of law enforcement throughout the whole district on CTST.
So Janine, I see that maybe do you share your events then with Michael? And I guess I'm leading to a bigger question. We here want to use social media better, whether it's Facebook or all those other things that the kids use, Instagram and Twitter, and help each other reach more of the community. So I know that law enforcement, like I don't even know how to speak the lingo, but I guess I'm friends or whatever with like the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. So I see their posts. But anyway, I just think there could be a really better way of sharing a message, like it's Motorcycle Safety Month, or join us on this walk. And like, I guess that's what it is. You share to our pages, and I just want to do more of that. So if any ideas and you guys have with, how we can promote more things, all of us together,
Yeah. If you follow the pages, like with Matt, if you follow our page, you can easily share ours. Like if you wanted to share our events or anything like that, you can do that same thing with, Sheriff's Office or things like that. So it's a matter of staying active on it. I'm not the one that does our social media, but
well, we have someone here, and she's willing and able to do this, so we want to use her.
I can add to that a little bit. I can, what I do when we created the new website, we tried to fix it to where it's user friendly to everybody that's online here. And the only information I put in there is information that you guys send to me. For instance, if you go to the blog page, she's got it up there now, but you can click on the blog. It takes about a second for the little wheel to spin around. You know how we all spend our lives watching that wheel. But you'll see, like for instance, the first one that pops up on when I did it a minute ago is Ride Like Mad. And that's because either Sharon or Janine or somebody from NAD sent me that information, and then I can post it. And that's the Walk Like Mad program and the Ride Like Mad, which is coming up. You could click on to read more. There's one in there from the SAD organization and so on and so forth. So you can go to all the various blogs and get more information.
Nice.
On all the stuff that's going on above and beyond the calendar of events. The calendar of events I usually read you guys is the national and state campaigns, but our local campaigns you'll usually find down here in the blogs.
Okay, thanks. We'll take advantage of that.
We got to use, but I can't put it on there if you guys don't share it.
Absolutely. Any other, when is our next meeting, by the way? Do you have that date?
Our April meeting has actually been canceled. It was originally because we're doing the mega meeting for all the CTSTs. We're meeting in Land O'Lakes. If you didn't RSVP, you can go ahead and RSVP in case somebody cancels, but the room is full.
Oh, the 27th. So this is like an opportunity to brag or something for me, but I did talk to Tina Russo, and I let her know that I couldn't make it, and I'm telling you now that I can't make it because I am doing a bucket list, the 5-borough bike ride in New York City. I've always wanted to do this bike ride. It's the first Sunday in May of every year, so I'll be up there. It'd be nice if I actually practiced and rode that far now because it's 40 miles, but I'll be fine. But anyway, so I'm sorry I'll miss you guys at that meeting.
Yeah.
So
but outside of that, our meetings go back to the regular schedule for May. Whatever your team was scheduled, nothing's changed. Just the month of April. So if you had another virtual meeting in May, then it's going to be virtual still. If it's an in-person meeting for May, then it's going to stay the same. We didn't change any of the other calendars for the whole rest of the year. We just that month of April for all the teams.
Okay, good. Do we have any other announcements? I guess we're at the open forum, or any other calendar updates or announcements that we speak up now. This is what we'll discuss next. Well, if not, thank you for attending, and keep thinking about, we heard already a request for one presentation, although I think sharing the screen on that might have helped already, but think of things that we might be able to bring forward to this committee, this team, and get some thoughts and ideas generated, especially from those who stay quiet on here, because I think that everyone has some really good ideas, and I don't know everything, and I don't think that our studies always think of, you know, different aspects of traffic safety. So I'd like to hear more input, but I don't have anything else. Anyone else? I guess we'll adjourn. Thank you again.
Thank you. See ya.